Jenna's fingers were already turning blue when she broke the surface. For the fourth time, her lungs screaming for air she couldn't afford to take. Below her, in 12 feet of murky water, Linda Morrison had been motionless for 8 minutes and 43 seconds. The woman who'd given her the first real meal in 6 days was dying, and everyone on shore was too busy confronting Jenna's abusive foster father to notice. One more dive. That's all she had left in her. One more chance to save the Hell's Angel's wife, who'd shown her what kindness looked like, or die trying. Before we continue with what happened next, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Stay with us until the end of this incredible true story and comment below what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. The hunger was what Jenna Blake noticed first every morning. Not the hard ground beneath her sleeping bag, not the Arizona desert cold that seeped through the abandoned boathouse walls, not even the fear that someone would find her. Just the hollow, gnawing ache in her stomach that had become as familiar as her own heartbeat. 5 days. She'd been hiding at Viper's Cove for 5 days now. "You're getting sloppy," she whispered to herself, watching her hands shake as she tried to open a pack of stale crackers she'd salvaged from a gas station dumpster. 16 years old and talking to herself like a crazy person. Her mother would have laughed at that before the drugs, before the overdose, before everything fell apart. The sound of motorcycle engines cut through the morning quiet, and Jenna's body went rigid. She pressed herself against the boathouse wall, peering through a gap in the weathered wood. They were back. The Iron Wolves Motorcycle Club, with their leather vests and loud bikes, and the kind of presence that made normal people cross the street. She'd been watching them for 3 days now, these people who seemed to live by their own rules. They scared her. Everything scared her lately. "Linda, you're not carrying that by yourself." The voice boomed across the lake, and Jenna's attention snapped to a massive man with a gray beard that reached his chest. They called him Razor, she'd heard that much. Club president. The kind of man whose word was law. "Razor Morrison, I've been carrying my own weight since before you learned to ride," a woman's voice shot back sharp and amused. "Back off." Jenna shifted to get a better view. The woman Linda was maybe 50-something, with silver-streaked black hair pulled back in a braid. She hefted a cooler that looked like it weighed more than Jenna did, her tattooed arms flexing with the effort. "Stubborn woman," Razor muttered, but Jenna could hear the affection in his voice. "You knew that when you married me," Linda said, setting the cooler down. She stretched her back, and for just a moment Jenna saw her wince. Pain quickly hidden. Then Linda's expression smoothed back to that calm confidence, and she started unpacking food. Real food. Jenna's mouth watered just watching. Steaks, hamburger patties, hot dogs, buns that looked soft and fresh, not the rock-hard ones she'd found in that dumpster. "Stop it," she told herself. "You can wait. You've waited before." But her stomach cramped hard, and she had to close her eyes against the dizziness. When was the last time she'd eaten? Yesterday morning, the day before. Time was getting fuzzy around the edges. A younger woman approached Linda, maybe mid-20s, with bright purple streaks in her dark hair. "Hawk, you teaching today?" Hawk? That was Linda's road name Jenna had learned. Every club member had one. "If anyone wants to learn," Linda said. She started pulling out equipment, boxing gloves, training pads, what looked like self-defense gear. Self-defense isn't optional for women, Cassie. It's survival. "My boyfriend says I don't need to learn because he'll protect me," Cassie said, but her voice carried doubt. Linda stopped unpacking and looked at the younger woman directly. "What happens when he's not there? What happens if he's the one you need protection from?" The silence that followed was heavy. Jenna felt it in her chest. "My last old man put me in the hospital," Linda continued, her voice matter-of-fact. "Broke 3 ribs in my jaw. You know what I learned? That depending on anyone else to save you is a luxury most women can't afford." Cassie's eyes went wide. But Razor would never. Razor isn't your boyfriend, honey. And yeah, the men in this club are different. They have to be, or they don't stay. But that's not the point. Linda's expression softened slightly. The point is that you need to know you can save yourself, always. Jenna's hand went unconsciously to her own ribs, where the bruises from Mr. Garrett's last lesson were finally fading from purple to yellow-green. 5 days since she'd run, but she could still feel his hands. You can't tell me what to do, girl. You're in my house, eating my food, and you'll show some goddamn respect. She shook her head hard, pushing the memory away. That was done. She was gone. He couldn't find her here, except she'd seen his truck yesterday cruising slowly past the lake entrance, or at least she thought it was his truck. Same color, same dent in the passenger door. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe, "Hey, Hawk!" Another woman called out. "You starting soon? I need to get this aggression out before I murder the guy who cut me off this morning." Linda laughed a real sound that carried across the water. 10 minutes. Let me get the space set up." Jenna watched as Linda organized the women, maybe 8 or 9 of them, ranging from early 20s to late 50s. Some wore leather vests with the Iron Wolves patch. Others were clearly guests or family members. They gathered on a flat area near the lake, talking and laughing. "All right, ladies," Linda called out. "Basic rules. We don't pull punches here. If you want to learn to defend yourself, you need to know what it actually feels like. But we also don't injure each other. This is about building strength and confidence, not proving who's toughest." She demonstrated a few moves, how to break a grab, how to strike vulnerable points, how to use an attacker's momentum against them. Her movements were precise, efficient. No wasted energy. Jenna found herself leaning forward, paying attention despite her fear of being spotted. This was different from the self-defense video she'd watched on YouTube at the library. This was real, taught by someone who'd clearly needed these skills. "Now pair up," Linda instructed. "Odd woman out works with me." As they organized, one woman short, maybe 40, with worried eyes, stood alone. "Perfect, Maria," Linda said. "You're with me. Show me how you'd react if someone grabbed you from behind." Maria's whole body tensed. I don't know if I can." "Why not?" "Because—" Maria's voice dropped to almost a whisper, but Jenna could still hear it. "Because last time someone grabbed me like that, I froze. I just froze. And he—" "Stop," Linda said gently. She put a hand on Maria's shoulder. "That's exactly why you're here. That freeze response, that's your brain trying to protect you. It's not weakness. It's biology. But we can work with it." Jenna's throat tightened. She knew that freeze. Knew it intimately. The session continued, and Jenna watched every second of it. Watched Linda patiently guide Maria through her fear. Watched the other women grow louder, more confident, their laughter mixing with the sounds of contact and exertion. "You're stronger than you think," Linda called out. "The world tries to teach us to be small, to be quiet, to be victims. We're unlearning that garbage right now." A cheer went up from the group. Jenna's stomach cramped again, harder this time. The crackers were gone, she'd eaten them without noticing. Her water bottle was nearly empty. She needed more, but the lake water wasn't safe to drink, and she'd run out of money 3 days ago. The training session wrapped up, and the women dispersed, energized, and talking loudly. Linda started packing up the equipment, moving a bit slower now. That wince was back more pronounced. She pressed a hand to her side briefly before catching herself and straightening up. "You okay, Hawk?" Razor appeared beside her. "Fine. Just tweaked something." "You've been tweaking something for 2 weeks now. You need to see a doctor." "I need you to mind your business," Linda shot back, but there was warmth in it. "I'm fine. It's just age catching up with me. You're 52, not 92. Tell that to my back. They moved away, still bickering affectionately, and Jenna slumped against the wall. The morning sun was getting hotter, turning the boathouse into an oven. She'd have to move soon, find shade, maybe risk getting closer to the public restrooms for water. But first, she waited. Waited for the club members to get distracted with their preparations. Waited for the perfect moment. It came an hour later, when most of them were down by the water and the food tables were temporarily unattended. Jenna's heart hammered as she crept out of the boathouse, moving low and fast. Just grab something quick, a roll, an apple, anything, and get back to hiding. She reached the table, her fingers closing around a hamburger bun, when a voice behind her said, "That's a good choice. The potato salad's better, though." Jenna spun around so fast she nearly fell. Linda stood there, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Run! Every instinct in Jenna's body screamed it. Run now! But her legs wouldn't move. She was frozen again like Maria, like every time Mr. Garrett had cornered her. "How long have you been hiding in the boathouse?" Linda asked. Her voice wasn't angry, just curious. Jenna's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Linda's eyes traveled over her, the dirty clothes, the hollow cheeks, the way Jenna was swaying slightly on her feet. Understanding dawned in her expression. "When's the last time you ate? And I mean really ate, not garbage from a dumpster." Jenna's eyes stung. "Don't cry. Don't you dare cry in front of this woman." "I'm not going to hurt you," Linda said quietly. "And I'm not calling the cops. But you need food, and standing here arguing about it is stupid. Sit." She pointed to a nearby picnic table. Jenna didn't move. "That wasn't a request, kid. Sit down before you fall down." Maybe it was the no-nonsense tone, or maybe it was the fact that Jenna's legs were genuinely about to give out, but she found herself stumbling to the table and collapsing onto the bench. Linda returned a moment later with a plate piled high, a burger, potato salad, watermelon chips. She set it in front of Jenna along with a bottle of cold water. "Eat slowly," she warned. "Your stomach's going to hate you if you wolf it down." Jenna stared at the food, then at Linda, then back at the food. This had to be a trick. People didn't just help, not without wanting something. "What do you want?" The words came out harsh, defensive. Linda raised an eyebrow. "I want you to eat before you pass out, that's it." Nobody just gives away food. "Well then consider your worldview expanded." Linda sat down across from her. "Eat." The smell was overwhelming. Jenna's hands shook as she picked up the burger. She forced herself to take a small bite, then another. It was the best thing she'd ever tasted. Linda watched her for a moment, then looked away, giving her privacy. They sat in silence while Jenna ate each bite more desperate than the last, despite her attempt to pace herself. "What's your name?" Linda finally asked. Jenna hesitated. Names were dangerous. Names could be traced. But something about the way this woman had looked at Maria earlier had understood that freeze response. "Jenna." "I'm Linda. People here call me Hawk." She paused. "How old are you, Jenna?" 18. The lie came automatically. "Try again." Jenna looked up sharply. Linda's expression was knowing. 16, Jenna admitted quietly. Linda nodded slowly. "Run away or kicked out? Does it matter? To me, yes. To the law, probably not." Linda leaned forward slightly. "Look, I'm not trying to interrogate you, but you've been watching us for days, and I need to know if you're in danger. Are you running from someone?" Jenna's hands clenched around the water bottle. Mr. Garrett's face flashed in her mind, red and furious, his hand raised. "You're gonna learn respect one way or another, girl. Your choice how hard this lesson is." "Jenna?" Linda's voice pulled her back. "Hey, stay with me. You're safe right now. Safe. What a weird word. Jenna wasn't sure she knew what it meant anymore. Foster home, she finally said. Bad foster home. I ran. Linda's jaw tightened. How bad? Jenna pulled her sleeve down over the bruise on her wrist. Bad enough. God damn it, Linda muttered. She was quiet for a moment, then. I ran when I was 15. Group home situation. House parent liked young girls a little too much, if you catch my meaning. Jenna's head snapped up. Linda's expression was distant remembering. Took me 3 tries to get away for good, Linda continued. Kept getting caught, sent back. 3rd time I made it to California, got tangled up with a bad crowd. Nearly died a few times. Met worse men than the one I ran from. She focused back on Jenna. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're old enough to make your own choices, but I'm also not going to pretend I don't see what's happening here. I'm fine, Jenna said automatically. You're 5 days from starving, sleeping in a condemned boathouse, and drinking lake water that'll give you dysentery. That's not fine. That's survival, and there's a difference. Jenna wanted to argue, but what was the point? Linda was right. What happened to you? Jenna asked. After California. Linda smiled slightly. Met a man who was worse than all the others combined. Nearly killed me, put me in the hospital for 2 weeks. And when I got out, she paused. I learned that I'd rather die fighting than live scared. So I did something about it. You learned to fight. I learned to survive. Big difference. Linda gestured around them. Found my way to this club eventually. Razor and I, we have our issues, but he's never raised a hand to me. Wouldn't dare. The club has rules about that absolute zero tolerance. You hit your woman, you're out. No second chances. Jenna looked around at the bikers with new eyes. I heard motorcycle clubs were dangerous. Some are, Linda said honestly. Some are criminal organizations that traffic drugs and weapons and worse. But the Iron Wolves' Weir family. Complicated, loud, messy family, but family. We take care of our own. I'm not one of yours. Not yet. Linda stood up. Finish eating. Then we're going to have a longer conversation about what comes next. Panic spiked in Jenna's chest. You're calling CPS. I'm doing no such thing, but you can't keep sleeping in a death trap boathouse. Heat exhaustion will kill you by next week. Linda's expression softened. I'm offering you a choice, Jenna. You can keep running, keep surviving day to day until something bad happens, and trust me, something bad will happen. Or you can take help from someone who's been exactly where you are. Why? Jenna's voice cracked. Why would you help me? Linda was quiet for a long moment. Because 20 years ago, I was you, and nobody helped. I survived, but barely, and it cost me things I can never get back. If I can keep that from happening to someone else. She shrugged. Then maybe all the bad stuff meant something. Jenna felt tears threatening again. She shoved them down hard. I don't know how to trust people. Good. You shouldn't. Trust is earned, not given. Linda started walking away, then paused. But I'm not asking you to trust me right now. I'm just asking you not to die in that boathouse. Think about it. She left Jenna sitting there with an empty plate and a head full of confusion. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Jenna retreated to her hiding spot, but couldn't stop thinking about Linda's words. About the choice she'd been offered. About what trust might feel like if she ever let herself try it. As evening approached, the club started preparing for their sunset swim tradition. Jenna watched from her spot, saw Linda walking toward the water with several other women. They were laughing about something, their voices carrying across the lake. That's when she saw the truck. Mr. Garrett's truck pulling into the parking area. The same dent, the same color, the same license plate she'd memorized out of fear. Her blood turned to ice. He got out slowly, looking around, searching. His face was the same one from her nightmares. Hard lines, cold eyes, a mouth that smiled when he hurt her. "No," Jenna whispered. "No, no, no." He started walking toward the lake, toward the club gathering, toward Linda. Jenna's breath came in short gasps. She needed to run, needed to grab her stuff and disappear before he saw her. But her legs wouldn't work. That freeze again paralyzing her. Down by the water, Linda waded in deeper. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and orange. She looked peaceful, happy. Mr. Garrett reached the edge of the gathering. Razor noticed him first, and Jenna could see the body language shift. The club members moved, positioning themselves between this stranger and their families. "Help you with something," Razor's voice carried clearly. "Looking for someone," Mr. Garrett said. "Young girl, dark hair, probably dirty. Run away. She's dangerous, got mental problems. Her foster parents are worried sick." Liar. Jenna's hands clenched. Liar, liar, liar. "Haven't seen anyone like that," Razor said flatly. "And this is private property. I'm sure you understand. I just need to check. You need to leave." Razor's tone left no room for argument. The confrontation was escalating. More club members were gathering. Jenna could see the tension building. And in the water, 30 yards from shore, Linda suddenly stopped swimming. At first, Jenna thought she was just floating. But then Linda's arms started moving, wrong, jerky, uncontrolled. Her head dipped below the surface and came back up. Dipped again. Nobody on shore noticed. They were all focused on Mr. Garrett, who was now arguing with Razor about property rights and missing children and legal authority. Linda went under again. This time she didn't come back up. Jenna counted seconds in her head. 5, 10, 15. "She's drowning," Jenna breathed. "Oh God, she's drowning and nobody sees." 20 seconds, 25. Jenna's body moved before her mind could catch up. She burst from the boathouse, running toward the water. Someone shouted, maybe Mr. Garrett recognized her, but she didn't stop. The water was cold, shocking, but she dove in without hesitation. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Water can save you or kill you, baby. Respect it." She swam hard toward the spot where Linda had disappeared, her arms burning with effort. When she reached it, she took 3 deep breaths and dove. The water was murky greenish. She could barely see 5 feet ahead. Her lungs already ached, but she kicked deeper, searching. Nothing. She surfaced, gasped for air, dove again. This time through the murk, she saw something pale. An arm. Linda's arm reaching up from the bottom. Jenna kicked harder, deeper. The pressure made her ears pop. And there was Linda, her eyes closed, her body slack, tangled in something old fishing nets, and submerged branches all twisted around her left leg. Jenna grabbed at the nets. They wouldn't budge. Linda had been caught unable to surface, slowly drowning while everyone argued on shore. Jenna's lungs were screaming. She had to surface. But if she did, if she left Linda here... She thought about the woman who'd given her food, who'd understood, who'd offered help without demanding anything in return. Not her, Jenna thought fiercely. Anyone but her. She attacked the nets with desperate hands, pulling and tearing. The rough fibers cut into her fingers, drawing blood that clouded the water. Her vision was starting to gray at the edges. She needed air, needed it now. But Linda needed it more. One more pull, one more... The net gave way suddenly, and Linda's leg came free. Jenna grabbed her around the waist and kicked upward with everything she had left. They rose through the water too slowly, Jenna's lungs on fire. They broke the surface, and Jenna gasped huge breaths of air. Linda was limp, not breathing. Oh God, not breathing. "Help!" Jenna screamed toward shore. "Help us!" The confrontation scattered as everyone turned to see. Razor's eyes went wide with horror. "Sarah Linda!" He crashed into the water, swimming toward them faster than Jenna would have thought possible for a man his size. He reached them in seconds, taking Linda from Jenna's exhausted arms. "How long?" he demanded. "I don't know," Jenna gasped. 2 minutes. 3. She's been down there. I saw her go under, maybe 8 minutes ago. 8. Razor's face went white. He was already swimming back to shore, Linda's body cradled against him. "Get help! Someone call 911! Jenna followed her muscles, screaming. When they reached shallow water, Razor laid Linda on the sand. Her skin was gray-blue. Her lips were white. "Baby, wake up," he said, his voice breaking. "Linda, come on." He started CPR, hard, fast compressions on her chest. Someone else tilted Linda's head back, pinched her nose, breathed into her mouth. Jenna stood there, dripping, shaking, watching. Behind her, she heard Mr. Garrett's voice. "That's her. That's the girl I was telling you about." "Shut the hell up," someone snarled at him. "Can't you see what's happening?" Jenna didn't turn around. She couldn't look away from Linda's still face, from Razor's hands pushing on her chest over and over, his gray beard wet with tears. "Don't you leave me," he was saying. "Don't you dare leave me, woman. We had a deal. You don't get to break it." 2 minutes of CPR. 3, 4. Someone was timing it on their phone. 9 minutes total without oxygen, they said quietly. Maybe more. Brain damage starts at 4, someone else whispered. 9 minutes. "She's not gone," Razor growled. "She's not." He breathed into her mouth again. More compressions. And then impossibly Linda coughed. Water erupted from her mouth. Her eyes fluttered. Her chest heaved as she gasped for air. The cheer that went up was deafening. Razor pulled her into his arms, sobbing openly now. "You stubborn, beautiful, terrifying woman." Linda's eyes found Jenna through the crowd, their gazes locked. "Breathe with me," Linda whispered, her voice raw. "Just breathe." And for the first time in 6 days, maybe in 6 years, Jenna felt something other than fear. She felt like maybe, just maybe, she was going to be okay. The ambulance sirens cut through the chaos, growing louder as they approached the lake. Jenna stood frozen in her wet clothes, watching the paramedics rush toward Linda with their equipment and urgent voices. Her entire body shook, not from cold, but from the adrenaline crash hitting her system like a freight train. "Miss, we need to check you too," a female paramedic said, reaching for Jenna's arm. Jenna jerked away instinctively. "I'm fine." "You nearly drowned pulling someone out. You're not fine." The paramedic's voice was kind, but firm. "Just let me look at you." "I said I'm fine." Jenna's voice came out sharper than she intended. Behind the paramedic, she could see Mr. Garrett watching her, his eyes calculating. He was talking to someone, a club member, who clearly didn't like whatever he was saying. "Jenna," Razor's voice made her turn. He was still kneeling beside Linda, but his attention was on her now. "Let them check you. That's not a request." Something in his tone, not threatening but absolutely certain, made Jenna's resistance crumble. She nodded. The paramedic guided her to the second ambulance, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "I'm Amy. Can you tell me what happened?" "I pulled her out." Jenna's teeth chattered. "She was caught in nets at the bottom." "How long were you underwater?" "I don't know. 2 minutes?" 3. "I went down 4 times. Amy's eyebrows shot up. 4 times Jesus, kid." She checked Jenna's pulse, shined a light in her eyes. "You're hypothermic and in shock. We need to get you to the hospital." "No hospitals." Panic spiked in Jenna's chest. They'll make me." "Hey, breathe." Amy's hands were gentle on her shoulders. Nobody's calling anyone without your permission. But you need to be checked out properly. You could have water in your lungs." "She's going." Razor appeared beside the ambulance. "And I'm following in my truck. Linda wants her there." Jenna looked past him to where Linda was being loaded into the first ambulance. Even from here, she could see Linda's hand raised, gesturing toward her, making sure Jenna was okay. "Your friend over there keeps trying to talk to me," Razor said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "The one claiming you're a runaway with mental problems. Want to tell me the real story?" Jenna's throat closed up. "He's my foster father. Was he the reason you ran?" She couldn't answer. Couldn't form the words. Razor's jaw tightened. "That's all I needed to know. Don't worry about him. He's not getting near you. You can't stop him. He has legal—" "I can and I will." Razor's expression was granite. "You saved my wife's life. That makes you Iron Wolf's family now, and we protect family. All of it, no exceptions." The first ambulance pulled away, lights flashing. Amy was trying to get Jenna to lie down on the stretcher, but Jenna resisted. "I need my stuff. My backpack, it's in the boathouse." "I'll get it," a woman's voice said, the one with purple streaks in her hair. Cassie jogged toward the old building. "Wait," Jenna called after her. "It's hidden in the back corner under some boards." But Cassie was already disappearing inside. Jenna's heart hammered. Everything she owned was in that bag, her mother's locket, the few dollars she had left, the book with her mom's notes in the margins. Cassie emerged less than a minute later, backpack in hand. She brought it to the ambulance, and Jenna grabbed it like a lifeline. "Found it right where you said." Cassie's expression was curious, but not judgmental. "That's some hiding spot." "I've had practice," Jenna said before she could stop herself. Amy finally convinced her to lie down, but Jenna clutched the backpack to her chest the entire ride to the hospital. Through the back window, she could see Razor's truck following along with at least 5 motorcycles. An escort, protection, or a cage. She couldn't tell which yet. At the hospital, everything became a blur of bright lights and questions and medical equipment. They checked her lungs, her heart rate, her oxygen levels. Someone wrapped her in heated blankets. Someone else brought her juice and crackers, which she devoured without tasting. "You're incredibly lucky," a doctor told her. "No water in your lungs, no serious damage. But you need to rest. Your body went through significant trauma." "Can I see Linda?" Jenna asked. "The other patient." The doctor hesitated. "Are you family?" "Yes." Razor's voice came from the doorway. He stepped into the room, his presence filling the space. "She's family." The doctor looked between them skeptically, but didn't argue. "Room 214, but only for a few minutes. Mrs. Morrison needs rest, too." Jenna slid off the bed, her legs unsteady. Razor offered his arm, and after a moment's hesitation, she took it. They walked down the hallway in silence, passing nurses and other patients, and the constant beeping of machines. 9 minutes, Razor said quietly. "The doctors can't believe she's okay. They keep running tests looking for brain damage, but there's nothing. It's a goddamn mousy miracle." "She's strong," Jenna said. "She's stubborn. There's a difference." He stopped outside room 214. "She wants to talk to you, but first I need to say something." Jenna braced herself. "Thank you." His voice cracked slightly. "I've been with that woman for 23 years. She's the only good thing I've ever done with my life, and you gave her back to me, so thank you." He pushed open the door before Jenna could respond. Linda was propped up in bed, oxygen tubes in her nose, IV lines in her arms, but her eyes were sharp and alert when they landed on Jenna. "There's my guardian angel," Linda said, her voice hoarse. "I'm not an angel." Jenna moved closer to the bed. I saw you go under. And you came after me, 4 times. Linda reached out a hand. The doctors told me. 4 dives to get me out. You almost died. Jenna took her hand, surprised by how warm it was. You would have done the same. Maybe. But I'm a stubborn old biker who's too mean to die. You're 16 and scared and alone. Linda's grip tightened. Why did you risk it? The question hung between them. Jenna thought about lying, deflecting, making some joke. But Linda's eyes demanded honesty. Because you were kind to me, Jenna finally said. And nobody's been kind to me in a long time. Linda's expression softened. Oh, honey. The doctors want to keep her overnight, Razor said from his position by the door. Observation makes sure nothing develops, but they think she'll be fine. I told you I was fine, Linda said, but she was looking at Jenna, not him. What about you? Are you okay? Hypothermic and in shock, apparently. But yeah. And that man, the one who showed up looking for you. Jenna's hand tensed in Linda's. Mr. Garrett, my foster father. The one you ran from. It wasn't a question. Jenna nodded anyway. He's still here, Razor said. Tried to follow us to the hospital. Some of the guys are keeping an eye on him in the parking lot. Fear shot through Jenna's system. He'll call CPS. He'll say I'm unstable, that I attacked him, whatever story he needs to. Let him try, Linda interrupted. We've got a dozen witnesses who saw you save my life. That's not the action of an unstable kid. That's heroism. He has legal custody. For now. Linda's expression turned calculating. But legal custody can be challenged, especially if there's evidence of abuse. Is there evidence, Jenna? Jenna's hand went unconsciously to her ribs. Some bruises, but they're fading. By the time anyone investigates, do you have pictures? Razor asked. No, I didn't think to. Jenna stopped. Wait, there's a video on my phone. Both Linda and Razor looked at her sharply. What kind of video? Linda asked carefully. Jenna's hands shook as she pulled her phone from her backpack. The screen was cracked, but still working. She navigated to her hidden folder, the one she'd password protected. From 3 weeks ago, he didn't know I was recording. She pulled up the file, but couldn't bring herself to hit play. It's bad. Really bad. Can I see it? Razor asked gently. Jenna handed him the phone. He hit play, and even though she couldn't see the screen, she could hear it. Could hear Mr. Garrett's voice raised in anger, the sound of his hand connecting with her face, her own voice begging him to stop. Razor's jaw clenched tighter with every second. When the video ended, he looked at Jenna with something that might have been rage or grief or both. Why didn't you show this to anyone? He asked. Who would believe me? I'm just a foster kid. Nobody cares what happens to us. We're disposable. The words came out bitter. I've reported abuse before at other homes. Nothing ever happened. The system doesn't protect kids like me. It just shuffles us around. Linda made a sound in her throat pain, or anger, Jenna couldn't tell. It's going to be different this time. You can't promise that. Watch me. Linda pressed the call button for the nurse. When a young woman appeared, Linda said, I need you to document something. This girl has injuries from her foster parent. I want pictures, medical records, everything official. The nurse looked uncertainly at Jenna. Do you consent to an examination? Jenna wanted to say no, wanted to run, but Linda's hand was still holding hers, warm and steady. Yes, Jenna whispered. The examination took 20 minutes. The nurse was gentle but thorough, photographing the fading bruises on Jenna's ribs, arms, and back. Each flash of the camera felt like exposure vulnerability proof of her weakness. There are also older scars, the nurse noted quietly. Cigarette burns on your shoulder. Those are at least a year old. Different foster home, Jenna said flatly. I've had 8. The nurse's expression was carefully neutral, but Jenna saw the flicker of anger in her eyes. "I'm going to file a report with the hospital social worker. Is that okay? Do I have a choice? Always, but in this case I strongly recommend it." Jenna nodded. The nurse left, and silence filled the room. 8 homes, Linda said finally. You were in 8 different homes. 9 if you count the group home when I first entered the system. I was 6. Jenna stared at the floor. My mom overdosed. They found me 3 days later, still trying to wake her up. The silence that followed was heavy. "Jesus Christ," Razor muttered. "Don't," Jenna's voice was sharp. "Don't pity me. I don't need that." "It's not pity," Linda said. "It's rage. There's a difference." A knock at the door interrupted them. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a tablet entered. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, the hospital social worker. I understand there's been a disclosure of abuse." Jenna's stomach dropped. Here it comes. The questions, the doubt, the eventual return to the system that had failed her over and over. But Dr. Chen sat down and looked directly at Jenna. "First, I want you to know that I believe you. Whatever you tell me, I believe you. That's my starting point." The words hit Jenna like a physical blow. Nobody had ever said that to her before. "Second, Doctor," Chen continued. "I've reviewed the medical documentation and the video Mr. Morrison showed me. What happened to you is not okay. It's criminal. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you're safe." "What about Mr. Garrett?" Jenna asked. "He has custody. Doesn't he get to just take me back? Not if I file an emergency protective order, which I'm going to do right now. It'll take a few hours to process, but once it's in place, he can't come near you, Doctor." Chen typed something on her tablet. "I'm also contacting the police. What he did constitutes assault and battery of a minor." "They won't care," Jenna said. "They never care." "These ones will," Razor said. His phone was out, and he was texting rapidly. "I know the sheriff. We served together in the Marines. He owes me about a dozen favors." Jenna wanted to hope. Wanted to believe that this time would be different. But hope was dangerous. Hope got you hurt. "What happens to me while all this is being processed?" she asked. Dr. Chen looked at Linda and Razor. "Typically, we'd place you in a temporary group home or emergency foster situation. But given the circumstances..." She hesitated. "Do you two have any interest in serving as temporary guardians?" The question hung in the air. Linda and Razor exchanged a look, one of those silent married couple conversations that happened in seconds. "Yes," Linda said. "Absolutely." Razor agreed. Jenna's heart stopped. "What? You saved my life," Linda said simply. "The least I can do is give you a safe place to sleep while this gets sorted out. You don't even know me. I don't know a thief or a liar or... You're a kid who's been hurt too many times and learned not to trust anyone. I was that kid once." Linda's voice was firm. "And someone gave me a chance when I needed it most. I'm paying that forward." "This is insane," Jenna said. "You can't just decide to take in a random teenager." "We're not taking you in permanently," Razor clarified. "Just until Dr. Chen and the courts figure out what's best. Could be a few days, could be a few weeks. But you need somewhere safe, and we have a spare room." Dr. Chen was nodding. "I'll need to do a home visit and run background checks, but given the emergency nature of the situation and Mrs. Morrison's medical needs, I can approve a temporary placement tonight. Mr. Garrett will be notified of the protective order, and if he violates it, he'll be arrested." It was happening too fast. Jenna's head spun. "I don't understand. Why are you all helping me?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Linda said. "And because in our world, when someone saves your life, they become family. Those aren't just words. That's law." "Iron Wolf's law," Razor added. "You pulled my old lady out of 12 feet of water after 9 minutes without oxygen. That kind of loyalty, That kind of courage, that's what we value. Age doesn't matter. Background doesn't matter. What you did matters. Jenna felt tears threatening again. She'd cried more in the last 2 hours than she had in years. "I'm not good at being someone's responsibility," she said quietly. "I mess things up. I don't know how to live with people without making them hate me." "Then you'll learn," Linda said. "We all had to learn. And yeah, you'll mess up sometimes. Everyone does. But that's part of being family. You don't get thrown away when you make mistakes." A commotion outside the room made them all turn. Raised voices, someone shouting. The door burst open and Mr. Garrett stood there, his face red with anger. "There you are, you little—" He didn't get to finish. Razor moved faster than Jenna had ever seen anyone move. He was between her and Mr. Garrett in a heartbeat, and suddenly Mr. Garrett was against the wall with Razor's forearm across his throat. "You have exactly 3 seconds to get out of this room," Razor said, his voice deadly calm. 1. "She's my foster daughter. I have legal 2. "You can't threaten me. I'll have you arrested 3. Security burst in, pulling Razor back. Mr. Garrett stumbled away from the wall, coughing. "Did you see that he assaulted me? I want him arrested." "Sir, you need to leave," one of the security guards said firmly. "You're not authorized to be in this area." "That girl is my responsibility. I have papers." "Not anymore," Dr. Chen said coldly. She held up her tablet. "Emergency protective order just filed. You're to stay at least 500 feet away from Jenna Blake, effective immediately. If you violate this order, you will be arrested." Mr. Garrett's eyes went wide, then narrowed with rage. He looked at Jenna, and she saw the promise in his expression. "This isn't over." "You think you're so smart," he said to her. "But you're nothing. Just another broken kid nobody wants. They'll figure that out soon enough, and then you'll come crawling back." "Get him out of here," Razor growled. Security escorted Mr. Garrett from the room. His voice echoed down the hallway, still shouting threats and accusations. Jenna was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Linda held her hand tighter. "He's wrong," Linda said fiercely. "Everything he just said, every single word is wrong. You're not nothing. You're not broken. And you're wanted. Right here, right now, you're wanted." "Why?" Jenna's voice broke. "I don't understand why you care." "Because someone should have cared about me when I was your age and nobody did. Because I see myself in you, the fear, the survival instinct, the walls you've built. Because you're brave and strong and you deserve better than what you've gotten." Linda's eyes were fierce. "And because when I was drowning in that lake in those 9 minutes underwater, you know what I thought about." Jenna shook her head. "I thought about all the kids like you that I could have helped but didn't. All the times I saw someone hurting and looked away because it wasn't my problem. I thought about every opportunity I missed to make a difference." Linda's voice dropped. "And then you pulled me out. You, this scared kid who had every reason to let me drown, who could have stayed hidden and safe. You risked everything to save me. That changes a person." "She's right," Razor said. "You changed both of us today, and now we're going to change things for you." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "I need to finish my paperwork and make some calls. The protective order is in place, but I want to coordinate with the police to make sure Mr. Garrett is charged. Can you two handle things here for the next hour?" "We're not going anywhere," Linda said. Dr. Chen left. The security guards positioned themselves outside the door, and Jenna sat there trying to process everything that had happened in the last 3 hours. "I have one condition," she said finally. Linda and Razor looked at her. "If I stay with you even temporarily, I need to earn it. I can't just be a charity case. Let me help out, do something. I need to feel useful." "Deal," Linda said without hesitation. "You can start by helping me with my self-defense classes once I'm cleared to teach again. We need a young perspective." "And you can help me in the garage," Razor added. "I build custom bikes. Always need an extra set of hands." Jenna felt something loosening in her chest. Not trust, not yet. but maybe the possibility of trust. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." A nurse came in to check Linda's vitals. "Your oxygen levels are great. If you maintain this through the night, you'll be discharged tomorrow morning." "Hear that?" Linda grinned at Jenna. "You saved me so well I get to go home early." 9 minutes, the nurse said, shaking her head. "I've been a nurse for 15 years and I've never seen anyone recover from that long without oxygen. It's remarkable." "She's remarkable," Linda said, squeezing Jenna's hand. "That's the only explanation." After the nurse left, Razor's phone rang. He stepped out to take the call, returning a few minutes later with an expression Jenna couldn't read. "That was Sheriff Martinez. He's on his way to arrest Garrett. The video you recorded, combined with the medical documentation and witness statements from today, is more than enough for charges. Assault and battery, child endangerment, false imprisonment. He's looking at serious time." Jenna's breath caught. "Really? Really, Martinez doesn't mess around with this stuff. He's got 3 daughters." Razor sat down heavily. "It's going to be okay, kid. I promise you it's going to be okay." Jenna wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly it hurt. "What if the court sends me back into foster care?" she asked. "What if they place me with someone worse? Then we'll fight it," Linda said. "We'll apply to be your permanent guardians if that's what it takes." "Right, Razor." He nodded. "Already thought about it. I know it sounds crazy, we just met you a few hours ago. But the club has connections, resources. We can make this happen." "Why?" Jenna asked again. "Why would you completely change your lives for someone you don't know?" Linda was quiet for a moment. "When I was 17, I was living on the streets of Oakland. Hadn't eaten in 3 days. This old woman found me digging through her garbage. I thought she'd call the cops, but instead she brought me inside, fed me, let me shower. Let me stay for 2 weeks until I got back on my feet." "What happened to her?" "She died 5 years later. I was at her funeral. So were about 30 other kids she'd helped over the years. 30 lives she changed because she saw someone hurting and decided to do something about it." Linda's voice was thick with emotion. "I swore at her grave that I'd do the same, that I'd pay forward what she gave me. So this isn't charity, Jenna. This is obligation, debt, honor." The weight of those words settled over the room. "I don't know how to be part of a family," Jenna admitted. "I've never been good at it." "Neither were we," Razor said. "That's why we found the club, made our own family with people who got it, and now you're part of that family too." Jenna looked at them both, this fierce woman who'd nearly drowned, and the massive biker who'd cried over her. They were strangers, but they'd claimed her anyway. Protected her. Stood between her and danger without hesitation. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank us yet," Linda said with a tired smile. "Wait until you've lived with Razors snoring for a week. You might regret this." "I do not snore." "You sound like a chainsaw." "That's a lie." "I have recordings." They bickered like that for another few minutes, and Jenna felt something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. Not quite belonging, not yet, but close enough to see what it might look like. A different nurse came in with discharge papers for Jenna. "You're free to go. Just take it easy for the next few days. Drink plenty of fluids, and if you experience any chest pain or difficulty breathing, come back immediately." Jenna stood, her legs still wobbly. "What about Linda?" "I'll be fine overnight," Linda assured her. "Go with Razor. Get some real sleep in a real bed. I'll see you in the morning." "You sure?" "Positive. Besides, someone needs to make sure he doesn't eat all the good cereal before I get home." Razor rolled his eyes, but was smiling. He led Jenna out of the room, down the hallway, past the security guards who nodded at them. The hospital lobby was quiet. Visiting hours were over. Outside the parking lot was full of motorcycles. At least 15 Iron Wolves members waited, standing around their bikes like sentries. "What are they doing here?" Jenna asked. Making sure Garrett doesn't try anything stupid, Razor said, and welcoming you home? One by one, the bikers noticed them. They didn't cheer or make noise, hospitals weren't the place for that. But each one nodded at Jenna, acknowledging her, seeing her. Cassie approached, holding out Jenna's backpack. Thought you might want this. You kept it? Of course, it's yours. Cassie smiled. Welcome to the family. The ride to Razor and Linda's house took 20 minutes through dark desert roads. Jenna sat in the passenger seat of Razor's truck, her backpack clutched to her chest, watching the motorcycles form a protective convoy around them. Every time headlights appeared behind them, her body tensed. He's not coming, Razor said quietly. Martinez has him in custody by now. You can't know that. I got a text 5 minutes ago. Garrett was arrested at his hotel. He's being held without bail until the arraignment. Jenna's breath caught. Really? Really? The judge saw the video, saw the medical reports. Flight risk and danger to a minor. Razor glanced at her. You're safe now. Safe. That word again. Jenna wanted to believe it, but safety had always been temporary in her life. Just when she let her guard down, something bad happened. They pulled up to a house that was bigger than Jenna expected, 2 stories pale adobe with a wide porch and desert landscaping. The motorcycles parked in a semicircle around the driveway, engines cutting off one by one. This is where you live? Jenna asked. 20 years now. Linda designed most of it. Razor killed the engine. Come on, I'll show you your room. Inside the house smelled like leather and coffee, and something else, cinnamon maybe. The living room was surprisingly normal, with comfortable furniture, and framed photos covering one entire wall. Jenna found herself drawn to them, seeing Linda and Razor through the years. Young and reckless, then older, steadier. Always together. That's from our wedding, Razor said, pointing to a photo of them on motorcycles, Linda in a white leather jacket. She refused to wear a dress. She looks happy. She was. We both were. He moved toward the stairs. Your room's up here. Jenna followed him up her legs, heavy with exhaustion. The room he showed her was simple, but clean. A bed with a blue comforter, a dresser, a desk, a window overlooking the backyard. Nothing fancy, but more than she'd had in years. Bathroom's across the hall. Towels are in the closet. You need anything, my room's at the end of the hall. Razor paused at the door. We don't lock bedroom doors in this house. Is that going to be a problem? Jenna's hand went to the doorknob instinctively. What if I want to lock it? Then we'll get you a lock tomorrow. But I'm telling you now, nobody's going to hurt you here. You don't need to barricade yourself in. She wanted to argue, but the exhaustion was winning. Okay. There's food in the kitchen if you get hungry. Help yourself to anything. He started to leave, then turned back. Linda's right about you, you know. You're remarkable. Before Jenna could respond, he was gone. She stood alone in the room, her backpack still clutched to her chest. Slowly, she set it down on the bed and unzipped it. Her mother's locket gleamed in the lamplight. She put it on, feeling the familiar weight settle against her chest. The bed was soft, too soft. She'd been sleeping on concrete and dirt for so long that the mattress felt strange. She lay down anyway, still fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep should have come easily. She was exhausted, traumatized, running on empty. But her mind wouldn't shut off. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow seemed threatening. What if this was a trap? What if Razor and Linda were like the others' kind at first, then cruel? What if the whole Iron Wolves thing was some elaborate scheme? But they saved you, a small voice whispered. They stood between you and Garrett without hesitation. That didn't mean they'd keep doing it. People got tired of broken things. Jenna must have fallen asleep eventually, because she woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the smell of coffee drifting upstairs. Her phone said it was 8:30. She'd slept for almost 10 hours. She crept downstairs, not sure what to expect. Razor sat at the kitchen table with his phone, his coffee mug the size of Jenna's head. He looked up when she entered. "Morning. Sleep okay?" "Yeah." The lie came automatically. He didn't call her on it. "Linda's being discharged in an hour. Thought we'd pick her up together, then stop for breakfast. You like pancakes?" Jenna's stomach answered for her with a loud growl. Razor smiled. "I'll take that as a yes." The drive back to the hospital was quieter without the motorcycle escort. Jenna watched the desert roll past, still processing everything that had happened in less than 24 hours. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Shoot." Linda said someone helped her when she was on the streets. That's why she's helping me. Jenna turned to look at him. "What's your reason?" Razor was quiet for a long moment. "I grew up in foster care too. 7 different homes before I aged out at 18. Joined the Marines the next day because I had nowhere else to go." Jenna stared at him. "You never said, 'Don't talk about it much.' But yeah, I get it. The system breaks more kids than it saves." His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I had a younger sister. She was 8 when we got separated into different homes. I tried to keep track of her, but the system doesn't make that easy." "What happened to her?" "She died when she was 13. Overdose. She'd been passed around 6 different foster homes, each one worse than the last." His voice was flat, controlled. "By the time I found out, she'd been dead for 3 weeks. Nobody bothered to tell me." Jenna felt her throat close up. "I'm sorry. That's why I help. That's why Linda and I both help. Because kids like you, like my sister, like we fall through the cracks and nobody notices until it's too late." He pulled into the hospital parking lot. "But you fought back. You survived. You saved Linda's life. That takes courage most people never have to find." They walked into the hospital together, and Jenna felt something shift inside her. Not trust, not yet, but understanding. These weren't just good people trying to feel better about themselves. These were survivors helping another survivor. Linda was dressed and ready when they arrived at her room, arguing with a nurse about discharge instructions. "I'm not staying off my feet for 2 weeks, Linda was saying. "I have a business to run." "Mrs. Morrison, you nearly drowned. You need rest." "I'll rest when I'm dead." Linda saw Jenna and Razor in the doorway. "Tell this woman I'm fine." "You're not fine," Razor said. "And you're following doctor's orders." Linda's expression turned mutinous, but she didn't argue. The nurse handed over paperwork, made Linda sign about 50 forms, and finally released her with strict instructions to take it easy. In the elevator, Linda leaned heavily on Razor. Jenna could see how much the ordeal had taken out of her, despite her bravado. "You're in pain," Jenna observed. "Old injury acting up. Broke 3 ribs years ago, and they never healed quite right. The CPR probably didn't help." Linda straightened up as the doors opened. "But I'm alive, so I'm not complaining." They drove to a diner called Rosa's, where apparently everyone knew Razor and Linda. The waitress, Rosa herself, maybe 60, with kind eyes, immediately came over. "Heard what happened," she said, looking at Linda with concern. "You okay, mija?" "Takes more than a little drowning to kill me," Linda said, sliding into a booth. Rosa's gaze shifted to Jenna. "And who's this?" "This is Jenna," Linda said. "She saved my life. She's staying with us." The pride in Linda's voice made Jenna's chest tight. Rosa smiled warmly. "Then breakfast is on the house. What can I get you?" They ordered pancakes for Jenna, huevos rancheros for Razor, and coffee for Linda, despite Razor's protest that she should be hydrating. "I'm drinking water too," Linda said. "See compromise." That's not compromise. That's you doing what you want and calling it something else. Marriage is all about creative interpretation. They bickered like that through breakfast, and Jenna found herself relaxing slightly. This was what normal families did, right? Argued about stupid things without anyone getting hurt. Halfway through her pancakes, Jenna's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her body went rigid. "What's wrong?" Linda asked immediately. "I don't know this number." "Let me see." Razor held out his hand. Jenna gave him the phone, and he read the message, his expression darkening. "It's from Garrett's lawyer, threatening legal action if you don't recant your statement." "Can they do that?" Jenna asked. "They can try. Won't go anywhere." Razor typed something and hit send. "There. Told him all communication needs to go through our lawyer from now on. We have a lawyer. The club has 3, and they're mean as hell when they need to be." Razor set the phone down. "Don't worry about it. Let us handle the legal stuff." But Jenna was worrying. Of course she was. This was how it always went. Things seemed okay, then they fell apart. "Hey." Linda reached across the table and took her hand. "Look at me. We're not abandoning you. This is going to get messy before it gets better, but we're seeing it through. All of it. You don't know me well enough to make that promise. I know you risked your life for mine. I know you're scared, but you keep fighting anyway. That's enough." Rosa brought more coffee and squeezed Linda's shoulder. "You two are good people. This girl's lucky to have found you." After Rosa left, Linda turned to Jenna. "You're not lucky. Luck implies chance. You made a choice yesterday to save me instead of staying hidden. That choice brought you here. So this isn't luck. It's consequence. Good consequence for once." Jenna wanted to believe that. Wanted to believe that one good choice could actually lead to good things instead of disaster. They finished breakfast and drove home. Linda immediately headed for the couch despite Razor's protests. "I'm resting," she said. "Just on the couch instead of in bed. Still counts." That's not what the doctor meant. "Creative interpretation." Razor sighed and looked at Jenna. "Want to see the garage?" She did, if only to have something to do with her hands. The garage was massive 3 bays, all filled with motorcycles in various states of assembly. Tools covered the walls in precise organization. It smelled like oil and metal and possibility. "This is where I work," Razor said. "Custom builds mostly. People come to me when they want something unique." Jenna walked around, running her fingers over chrome and leather. "Did you build all of these? Most of them. That one's Linda's." He pointed to a sleek black bike with silver accents. "Built it for her birthday 5 years ago." "It's beautiful." "She is." He pulled out a stool. "Here's the deal. You said you wanted to earn your keep. I could use help with some of these builds. Nothing complicated at first, cleaning parts, organizing tools, learning the basics. You interested? I don't know anything about motorcycles." "That's fine. I didn't either when I started. It's all about patience and paying attention." He handed her a rag. "Start with that carburetor over there. Clean every part, lay them out in order. I'll check your work when you're done." It gave Jenna something to focus on, something to do with the anxiety churning in her stomach. She worked carefully, methodically, losing herself in the simple task. She was halfway through when her phone rang. Dr. Chen. "Jenna, I wanted to update you. Mr. Garrett's lawyer tried to file for emergency custody hearing. The judge denied it. Between the protective order, the criminal charges, and the evidence we submitted, there's no way he's getting near you." Relief flooded through her. "So what happens now?" "Now we start the process of finding you permanent placement. The Morrisons have expressed interest in becoming your guardians. Are you comfortable with that?" Jenna looked at Razor, who was pretending not to listen, but obviously was. "I think so, but I barely know them." That's understandable. We can take it slow, do trial weekends first if you'd prefer. No pressure. No, Jenna stopped. I want to stay. Is that crazy? To want to stay with people I just met? Not crazy at all. Sometimes we recognize safety when we find it, even if we haven't experienced it before. Dr. Chen's voice was warm. I'll start the paperwork. It's a long process, background checks, home studies, court hearings. Could take months. But if everyone's on board, we'll make it happen. After hanging up, Jenna stared at the phone. Good news, Razor asked. Maybe. Dr. Chen says you and Linda want to be my guardians. We do. Why? The question burst out of her. You keep saying because I saved Linda, but that's one thing. One moment. This is your whole life you're changing for someone you don't know. Razor set down the wrench he was holding. You want the honest answer? Yes. Because Linda and I can't have kids. Medical issues. We tried for years, nearly broke us. He was quiet for a moment. We made peace with it eventually. Built our life around the club, around each other. But there's always been this empty space. So, I'm filling a gap. Jenna heard the bitterness in her own voice. I'm a consolation prize. No, you're an opportunity. A second chance for all three of us. Razor's expression was serious. You get a family that wants you. We get to help someone who needs it, and maybe parent a kid who actually chose us back. That's not consolation. That's gift. Jenna's eyes stung. I don't know how to be someone's kid. And we don't know how to be parents. Guess we'll figure it out together. He handed her another part to clean. No pressure, Jenna. If you want to try something different, find another placement, we'll support that. But if you want to stay the doors open. She went back to cleaning the carburetor, but her hands were shaking. Could she really do this? Trust these people. Let herself want something for once, instead of just surviving. A knock on the garage door interrupted her thoughts. Cassie stood there with another club member, a man in his 30s with tattoos covering his arms. Hey, Cassie said. This is Repo. He's our sergeant at arms. He wanted to meet Jenna. Repo stepped forward and extended a hand. Heard what you did yesterday. That took guts. Jenna shook his hand uncertainly. I just reacted. Most people freeze in crisis. You dove in 4 times. That's not just reaction, that's character. He glanced at Razor. The club voted. We want to make it official. Make what official? Jenna asked. Razor was smiling now. Honorary membership. You're not old enough to prospect or patch in officially, but the club can vote to extend honorary status. It's rare, only happens for family or people who've done something extraordinary. We've only done it twice in 20 years, Cassie added. Once for a firefighter who saved 3 club members from a burning building. Once for a lawyer who got one of our guys out of prison after he was wrongly convicted. And now for you, Repo said. If you accept. Jenna looked between them. What does it mean? It means your family, Razor said simply. It means the club has your back no matter what. It means you've got 60 brothers and sisters who'll ride into hell for you if needed. It also means responsibilities, Repo added. Club business stays club business. Family problems get handled as family, not through cops or outsiders when possible. And you represent us, your actions reflect on the whole club. I'm 16, Jenna said. I can't even ride a motorcycle. Yet, Cassie grinned. We'll teach you when you're ready. Why me? Jenna asked again. You barely know me. Hawk was underwater for 9 minutes, Repo said. Medical experts say that's impossible. She should be brain dead or severely damaged, but she's not. She's fine. You know why? Jenna shook her head. Because you didn't give up. You kept diving, kept trying, even when it looked hopeless. That's the kind of person we want in our family, someone who fights for what matters. Repo pulled something from his pocket, a leather vest patch with the Iron Wolves emblem and the word honorary beneath it. This is yours if you want it. Jenna took the patch with trembling hands. It was heavier than she expected, the leather soft and worn. You don't have to decide now, Razor said. Take time to think about it. But Jenna didn't need time. For once in her life, the choice was clear. Yes, she said. I accept. Cassie whooped and hugged her. Repo nodded approvingly. Razor's smile was genuine and warm. Welcome to the Iron Wolves, he said. They went inside to tell Linda, who was still on the couch, but now surrounded by paperwork and her laptop. I told you to rest, Razor said. I am resting. I'm just also working. Linda looked up and saw the patch in Jenna's hand. Her expression softened. They voted you in, just now. Linda stood up carefully and pulled Jenna into a hug. Good. You deserve it. The rest of the day passed in a blur. More club members stopped by to meet Jenna and welcome her officially. Food appeared, casseroles and desserts, and enough to feed an army. The house filled with voices and laughter and the kind of chaotic warmth Jenna had only seen in movies. By evening, she was exhausted, but in a different way than before. Not the exhaustion of survival, but the exhaustion of belonging. She was helping clean up the kitchen when her phone rang again. Unknown number, but different from before. Hello? Jenna Blake, a man's voice professional. This is Detective Marcus Chen with the Phoenix Police Department. I'm investigating the assault charges against James Garrett. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Her stomach dropped. Now, if possible, I know it's late, but I want to move quickly on this case. Jenna looked at Linda, who was drying dishes. Linda must have seen something in her expression, because she took the phone gently. Detective, this is Linda Morrison. Jenna's with me. If you need to interview her, we'd prefer to do it in person with a guardian and possibly a lawyer present. Can we schedule something for tomorrow? A pause. Of course. I apologize for the late call. How about 10 a.m. at the station? We'll be there. Linda hung up and handed back the phone. You okay? I don't want to talk about it, Jenna said. About what he did? You might have to eventually. For the trial. I know. Jenna's voice cracked. I just want to forget it happened. Linda set down the dish towel and took Jenna's hands. I understand, but forgetting doesn't heal. It just buries the wound until it infects everything else. You sound like you know. I do. Took me years to deal with what my ex did to me. Years of nightmares and panic attacks and thinking every man who got close was going to hurt me. Linda's grip tightened. But I dealt with it. Therapy support groups, time. And now it's part of my story, but it doesn't control my story. You understand the difference? Jenna nodded, not trusting her voice. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Talking to the detective, giving your statement officially. But Razor and I will be with you every step. You're not alone anymore. That night, Jenna lay in bed staring at the ceiling again. But this time the fear was different. Not the fear of what might happen to her, but the fear of losing what she'd found, of this all being temporary. She heard footsteps in the hallway and tensed. A soft knock on her door. You awake? Linda's voice. Yeah. Linda came in and sat on the edge of the bed. Couldn't sleep either. Mind if I stay for a bit? Jenna shook her head. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Can I tell you something? Linda finally said. When I was underwater yesterday in those 9 minutes, I wasn't scared. I was at peace. I thought, this is it. This is how I go. And I was okay with it. That's depressing. Maybe. But then you pulled me out. You dragged me back to life. And you know what I felt when I woke up? What? Grateful. Not for being alive necessarily, but for the reminder that people still fight for each other. that kindness still exists, that someone like you, someone with every reason to be selfish and cruel, chose compassion instead. Linda's voice was thick. You gave me back more than my life. You gave me back my faith in people. Jenna didn't know what to say to that. So thank you, Linda continued, for saving me, for choosing to stay, for giving Razor and me the chance to be what we couldn't be before parents. You're already better parents than any I've had, Jenna whispered. Linda leaned down and kissed her forehead. Sleep now. Tomorrow's going to be tough, but we'll face it together. After she left, Jenna touched the spot where Linda had kissed her forehead. When was the last time someone had done that? Her real mother, maybe before the drugs took over. She fell asleep, holding her mother's locket in one hand and the iron wolves patch in the other, symbols of two families, one lost, one found. The Phoenix Police Department smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. Jenna sat between Linda and Razor in the waiting area, her leg bouncing nervously. She'd barely eaten breakfast, and her stomach was doing acrobatics. You don't have to do this, Linda said quietly. We can reschedule. No, I need to get it over with. Detective Chen appeared in the hallway, tall, Asian, maybe 45, with tired eyes that had probably seen too much. Jenna Blake, I'm Detective Chen. Thank you for coming in. They followed him to an interview room. Plain walls, a table, 4 chairs, a camera in the corner with a blinking red light. We're recording this for the record, Chen explained. Is that okay with everyone? Jenna nodded. Her throat felt tight. Chen sat across from her, his notepad open. I've reviewed the video evidence and the medical reports. I just need to hear your account in your own words. Take your time. Where do I start? When did James Garrett first become physically abusive? Jenna's hands clenched in her lap. 3 months after I was placed with him and his wife. Mrs. Garrett traveled a lot for work, pharmaceutical sales. The first time she was gone overnight, he came into my room. What happened? The words stuck in her throat. Linda's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. He said I needed to learn respect, that I was too mouthy, too difficult. He grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back until something popped. Jenna's voice was mechanical, detached. Said if I told anyone, no one would believe me, that I was just another foster kid with behavior problems. Did you tell anyone? My caseworker. She said she'd look into it. Nothing happened. Jenna's jaw tightened. Mrs. Garrett came home, and I tried to tell her. She said I was lying for attention, that I was trying to break up their marriage because I was jealous of their stability. Chen wrote something down. The video we have, can you tell me about that incident? Jenna's breathing got shallow. That was 2 weeks before I ran. I'd broken a glass by accident. He dragged me into the laundry room by my hair, started hitting me face, ribs, back. I had my phone in my pocket. I managed to start recording. Why didn't you go to the police right away? Because I've been in this system for 10 years, detective. I've reported abuse before. Nothing ever changes. We just get moved to a new home that's usually worse. The bitterness in her voice surprised even her. The system protects itself, not us. Chen's expression was unreadable. I understand your frustration, but I want you to know this time is different. We have solid evidence. The video, the medical documentation, witness testimony. Garrett's looking at multiple felony charges. He'll get a plea deal. They always do. Not if I can help it. Chen's voice was firm. I have 3 kids of my own. This stuff makes me sick. I promise you I'm going to push for maximum charges. Jenna wanted to believe him, but promises were cheap. The interview continued for another hour. Every question felt like a scab being ripped off. Chen was patient but thorough, asking about specific incidents, dates, injuries. By the end, Jenna felt hollowed out. That's enough for now, Linda finally said. She's exhausted, Chen nodded. Thank you, Jenna. I know this wasn't easy. The DA will review everything and decide on formal charges. We'll keep you updated. Outside, Jenna gulped fresh air like she'd been drowning again. Razor led her to the truck, while Linda hung back, talking quietly with Chen. You did good, Razor said once they were inside. That took courage. It took nothing. Just words. Words are harder than you think, especially when they force you to relive trauma. He started the engine. Linda's making sure Chen has all our contact information. We want to be notified about every step in this case. Linda emerged from the building a few minutes later, her expression troubled. She climbed into the truck without speaking. What? Razor asked. Garrett's lawyer filed a motion to suppress the video evidence. Claims it was obtained illegally, single-party consent state issues. Jenna's heart plummeted. What does that mean? It means his lawyer is trying to get the most damaging evidence thrown out. Linda's hands clenched. Chen says not to worry that the medical evidence alone is strong enough, but without the video, it's just my word against his. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it, Razor said firmly. Right now, let's focus on what we can control. They drove in silence for a while. Jenna stared out the window, watching the city roll past. I want to go back to the lake, she said suddenly. What? Linda turned to look at her. The lake, where it happened. I need to see it again? Jenna, I don't think... Please, I need to. Razor and Linda exchanged one of their silent conversations. Finally, Razor nodded and changed direction. Viper's Cove looked different in daylight, less threatening. The water sparkled under the late morning sun. A few people were scattered around families, couples nothing like the club gathering 2 days ago. Jenna walked to the edge of the water to the spot where she'd pulled Linda out. The sand still showed scuff marks from the emergency response. What are you looking for? Linda asked, standing beside her. I don't know. Proof it was real, maybe. That I actually did something that mattered. It was real. I'm standing here because of you. Jenna's eyes burned. What if I'd stayed hidden? What if I'd been too scared to help? But you weren't. You made the choice that counted. Linda's voice was gentle. You can't torture yourself with what-ifs. I do it anyway. What if I'd reported Garrett sooner? What if I'd fought harder? What if... Stop! Linda turned Jenna to face her. Listen to me. None of what happened to you was your fault. Not the abuse, not the system failing you, none of it. You were a child in impossible situations and you survived. That's not weakness, that's strength. Jenna wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she just nodded. They stayed at the lake for another hour. Razor skipped stones across the water while Linda sat on a bench watching him with affection. Jenna wandered the shoreline, collecting smooth pebbles and letting herself just exist for a moment. Her phone buzzed. A text from Cassie. Self-defense class tonight at 6. Hawk said you should come. You in? Jenna looked at Linda. Cassie says you're teaching tonight. Was planning to. Doctor cleared me for light activity. Linda's expression turned knowing. She invited you, didn't she? Yeah, should I go? Only if you want to. No pressure. Jenna thought about Maria, the woman from that first day who'd frozen when grabbed from behind. Thought about her own freeze response in the laundry room in every moment she should have fought back but couldn't. I want to go, she said. That evening they arrived at the community center where the club held their weekly classes. About 15 women were already there, ranging from early 20s to 60s. Maria was among them, talking quietly with another woman. Glad you came back, Linda said to Maria. How are you feeling? Better. Nervous, but better. Maria looked at Jenna. You're the girl who saved Hawk. Yeah. That was incredible. I hope I can be that brave someday." "You already are," Linda said. "You came back after freezing last time. That takes courage." The class started with warm-ups, then moved into techniques. Linda demonstrated each move, slowly explaining the mechanics, then had them practice in pairs. "Jenna, you're with me?" Linda called. "I want to show everyone something." Jenna's stomach tightened as she stepped forward. Everyone was watching. "I'm going to grab Jenna from behind," Linda explained. "And I want her to react however feels natural. Don't think, just do." Linda moved behind her and wrapped her arms around Jenna's torso. Instantly, Jenna's body locked up. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "That's the freeze," Linda said, releasing her. "That's what most people experience. Your brain is trying to protect you by playing dead, hoping the threat passes. It's biology, not cowardice." Jenna's face burned with embarrassment. "Now we're going to do it again," Linda continued. "But this time, I want Jenna to focus on one thing, breathing. Not escape, not fighting. Just breathing." Linda grabbed her again. Jenna forced herself to take a breath. Then another. "Good. Now still breathing, I want you to drop your weight. Make yourself heavy." Jenna let her knees bend slightly, sinking down. Linda's grip loosened. "Perfect. One more breath. Then stamp on my foot." Jenna hesitated. "Do it. I'm wearing steel-toed boots." Jenna brought her heel down hard. Linda's grip released completely. "That's how you break a hold when you're frozen. Small steps. Breathe, drop weight, strike. You don't have to be a martial arts expert. You just have to remember to breathe through the panic." They practiced variations for the next hour. Jenna paired with Maria, and they worked through scenarios together. Bear hugs, hair, grabs, wrist holds. Each time, Linda emphasized breathing first, technique second. "Muscle memory," Linda explained. "We're training your body to respond automatically when your brain can't. That's how you overcome freeze." By the end of class, Jenna was sweating, and her muscles ached. But something had shifted. She felt more solid, somehow. More capable. "You did great," Maria said as they packed up. "Really great." "So did you. You didn't freeze once." "I did, actually. Twice. But I remembered what Hawk said, breathe first. It helped." Maria smiled. "Maybe we can be practice partners. I live pretty close to the community center. We could meet up between classes." "Yeah, I'd like that." They exchanged numbers, and Jenna felt something unfamiliar, friendship, maybe. The possibility of it, anyway. On the drive home, Linda was quieter than usual. Jenna could tell something was bothering her. "What's wrong?" Jenna finally asked. Linda sighed. "Got a call from Dr. Chen, the social worker, while you were talking with Maria. There's been a complication." Jenna's stomach dropped. "What kind of complication?" "Garrett's wife filed a petition. She wants custody of you." "What? Why would she?" Jenna's voice rose. "She knew what he was doing. She told me I was lying." "I know, honey, but legally she's still a licensed foster parent with no abuse charges against her. Her lawyer's arguing that removing you from their care based solely on her husband's actions is discriminatory." "That's insane." "That's the system," Razor said grimly. "Chen said there's going to be a hearing. Judge will decide whether Mrs. Garrett has any claim or whether you stay with us." "When?" "Next week, Tuesday." Jenna felt like she'd been punched. "So I could be sent back? After everything?" "Not if we have anything to say about it," Linda said fiercely. "We're getting the best family law attorney in Arizona, and the club's going to show up at that hearing, all 60 members. Show the judge that you have a community that wants you." "But what if it's not enough? What if the judge decides blood family or original placement takes priority? Then we appeal, and we keep appealing until we win." Linda's voice was steel. "You're not going back to them, Jenna, over my dead body." At home, Jenna couldn't eat dinner, couldn't focus on anything. The fear that had been lurking at the edges came roaring back. She was sitting on the porch when Cassie's motorcycle pulled up. The younger woman dismounted and came over. "Heard about the custody thing," Cassie said. "Wanted to check on you." "I'm fine." "You're not. That's okay." Cassie sat down beside her. "Can I tell you something? When I was 22, my boyfriend beat me so bad I almost died. Put me in ICU for 2 weeks. Jenna looked at her sharply. "When I got out, I tried to press charges. His family had money, hired expensive lawyers. They painted me as the aggressor, said I provoked him. The case got thrown out." Cassie's jaw tightened. "I thought that was it, that I'd lost. But then Hawk found out what happened. She showed up at my apartment with 3 other club members and said, 'You're done being alone. You're one of us now.'" "What happened?" "They taught me to fight. Not just physically taught me to fight for myself, to demand respect, to never settle for less than I deserved. And when my ex tried to come after me again, 6 bikers showed up at his door. He got the message." Cassie smiled slightly. "What I'm saying is the system might fail you. Courts might fail you. But this family won't. We don't operate by their rules." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying no matter what happens Tuesday, you're not alone. You've got options the court doesn't know about." After Cassie left, Jenna sat there processing. What options? Running again. Hiding. She'd spent her whole life running, and look where it got her. Inside, she could hear Linda and Razor talking in low voices. She crept closer to the window. "What? Can't let them take her back," Linda was saying. "I don't care what we have to do. If we violate a court order, we could face criminal charges, lose our own custody rights permanently. So we don't violate it. We file for emergency guardianship, get temporary custody extended, bury them in paperwork until what they stop trying to get her back. That's not how this works." "Then we make it work." Linda's voice cracked. "I can't lose her, Razor. Not after everything. She's ours." "She's not legally ours yet. That's the problem." Their voices dropped too low to hear. Jenna moved away from the window, her heart hammering. They were fighting about her. She was causing problems already. Maybe she should just leave. Disappear before the hearing, before she could be sent back to Mrs. Garrett, before she could hurt Linda and Razor more than she already had. She was upstairs packing her backpack when Linda appeared in the doorway. "Going somewhere?" Jenna froze, caught. "I thought I heard you and Razor arguing about how to keep you." "Yeah, we were." Linda came in and sat on the bed. "We do that. We argue. It's how we process things. But you know what we never argue about? Whether you belong here. That's not up for debate. I'm causing you problems. You're worth the problems." Linda's voice was firm. "Whatever happens Tuesday, whatever the court decides, we're not giving up. You understand?" Jenna's hands shook. "What if I have to go back to her Mrs. Garrett?" "Then we visit you every single day. We document everything. We file motions and appeals and make their lives hell until they give up. But I don't think it'll come to that." "How can you be sure?" "Because I'm not." Linda pulled Jenna down to sit beside her. "I can't promise everything will work out perfectly. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise we'll fight for you, that we won't abandon you, that even if the system fails again, we won't." Jenna wanted to believe her. Wanted it desperately. "Will you testify?" Linda asked. "At the hearing, tell the judge what you told Detective Chen. About Mrs. Garrett knowing, about everything. The abuse, the system failing you, why you can't go back there. It'll be hard, but I'll do it." Jenna's voice was stronger than she felt. "I'll tell them everything." Linda hugged her tight. "That's my girl." The next few days passed in a blur of preparation. The club's lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Reeves, who'd left a big firm to work exclusively with abuse survivors, met with them 3 times. She walked Jenna through what to expect, how to answer questions, how to stay calm under pressure. Mrs. Garrett's lawyer is going to try to discredit you, Patricia explained. They'll paint you as a troubled teen with behavior issues who's lying for attention or revenge. You need to stay calm, stick to facts, don't get emotional. How am I supposed to not get emotional? Jenna asked. This is my life. I know, but judges respond to composure. If you fall apart on the stand, they'll question your reliability. Patricia's expression softened. I'm not saying don't feel things. I'm saying channel those feelings into clear, steady testimony. The night before the hearing, Jenna couldn't sleep. She kept running through Patricia's questions, practicing her answers. Around 2 a.m., she gave up and went downstairs. Linda was in the kitchen, also awake, staring at a cup of tea. Can't sleep either, Linda asked. No. Want to talk about it? Jenna sat down across from her. What if I mess up tomorrow? Say the wrong thing. Then we adapt. Patricia's good, she'll redirect if needed. Linda reached across the table. But you're not going to mess up. You're going to tell your truth, and that's all anyone can ask. Mrs. Garrett's going to be there. In the same room? Looking at you. I know. That's going to be hard. Linda's grip tightened. But remember, she has no power over you anymore. None. She can stare all she wants. You're the one with the truth. What if the truth isn't enough? It will be. It has to be. Linda's voice carried a desperation Jenna hadn't heard before. Because I can't. I won't let them take you. You're my daughter now. Not legally, not yet, but in every way that matters. The word hung between them. Daughter. You mean that? Jenna whispered. With everything I am. Linda's eyes were wet. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But when I was underwater dying, and you pulled me out, something changed. You became mine. And I don't give up what's mine. Jenna started crying. Linda came around the table and held her, while she sobbed for her mother, for her lost childhood, for every home that had failed her, and finally for the possibility that this one might not. Tuesday morning arrived too fast. Jenna dressed carefully, the nice clothes Linda had bought her, nothing too flashy, trying to look responsible and stable. Her hands shook while she brushed her hair. The courthouse was downtown, all marble and intimidation. As they entered, Jenna saw the Mrs. Garrett and her lawyer already seated. Mrs. Garrett looked the same perfectly styled hair, expensive suit expression of wounded righteousness. When Mrs. Garrett's eyes found Jenna, her smile was small and cold. Hello, Jenna. I've missed you. The lie was so blatant, Jenna almost laughed. Linda's hand on her shoulder kept her steady. Don't engage, Patricia murmured. Let me handle it. They took their seats. The courtroom filled slowly, Iron Wolves members filing in, taking up 3 full rows. Razor, Cassie, Repo, Maria, even Rosa from the diner. Showing up. Showing support. Judge Catherine Morrison. No relation to Razor and Linda entered, and everyone stood. She was maybe 60, with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Be seated. We're here for an emergency custody hearing regarding the minor Jenna Blake. Mrs. Sharon Garrett is petitioning for return of custody, and Mrs. Morrison are contesting. Let's hear from Mrs. Garrett's counsel first. The lawyer, a man in his 50s with a slick demeanor, stood. Your Honor, my client is a licensed foster parent with an impeccable record. She's provided care for 7 foster children over 10 years, all successfully. Her husband's recent legal troubles are unfortunate, but they shouldn't reflect on Mrs. Garrett, who was unaware of his actions and is herself a victim of his deception. Jenna's hands clenched. Liar. Mrs. Garrett has maintained her home past all inspections and desperately wants Jenna returned to her care. She believes, and we contend that removing Jenna based solely on Mr. Garrett's actions when Mrs. Garrett herself faces no charges violates her rights as a licensed foster parent. Patricia stood. Your Honor, if I may. You'll get your turn, Ms. Reeves. Continue, Counselor. We have character witnesses prepared to testify to Mrs. Garrett's dedication to foster children. We have records showing Jenna's behavioral issues in previous placements. And we have Mrs. Garrett's statement that she's willing to divorce her husband to regain custody, showing her commitment to Jenna's well-being. Jenna felt sick. This was the game. Paint her as the problem, Mrs. Garrett as the saint. Judge Morrison made some notes. Ms. Reeves, your response. Patricia stood, and her presence commanded the room. Your Honor, opposing counsel would have you believe Mrs. Garrett is an innocent party. The evidence will show otherwise. We have testimony that Mrs. Garrett was not only aware of her husband's abuse, but actively enabled it by dismissing Jenna's reports and threatening her with removal from their home if she continued to cause trouble. Mrs. Garrett's lawyer objected. Hearsay, Your Honor. We have no proof. We have Jenna's testimony under oath. We have medical records showing injuries that Mrs. Garrett witnessed and ignored. And we have the statement Jenna gave to Detective Chen, where she explicitly describes telling Mrs. Garrett about the abuse and being called a liar. Judge Morrison leaned forward. I'll hear from the minor directly. Jenna Blake, please take the stand. This was it. Jenna stood on shaking legs and walked to the witness stand. The bailiff swore her in. She sat down facing the entire courtroom, facing Mrs. Garrett's cold eyes. Patricia approached with a gentle smile. Jenna, I know this is difficult. Take your time. Can you tell the court how long you lived with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? 7 months. And during that time, did Mr. Garrett ever physically harm you? Yes. How many times? Jenna's throat was tight. I don't know exactly. A lot. Maybe 20 times more. Did you ever report this abuse to Mrs. Garrett? Yes, multiple times. What was her response? This was the moment. Jenna looked directly at Mrs. Garrett. She said I was lying, that I was trying to break up their marriage. She threatened to have me move to a group home if I kept causing problems. Mrs. Garrett's expression didn't change, but her lawyer was scribbling notes furiously. Patricia continued. Did she ever witness any injuries you sustained? Yes. She saw bruises on my arms and face. I told her how I got them. She said I was clumsy and needed to be more careful. Objection, Mrs. Garrett's lawyer said. Your Honor, this is all hearsay and cannot be verified. It's the child's direct testimony, Patricia countered. That's not hearsay. Overruled. Continue. Patricia asked more questions, dates, specific incidents, how Mrs. Garrett had reacted each time. Then she stepped back. Your witness. Mrs. Garrett's lawyer approached, and his smile was predatory. Miss Blake, isn't it true that you've had behavioral problems in previous foster homes? Define behavioral problems. Acting out, conflicts with foster parents, running away. I ran away from 2 homes before this one, both because I was being abused. But you've been reported for lying in at least 3 placements, correct? Jenna's face burned. I was reported for lying when I told the truth about being hurt, and nobody believed me. If that's lying, then yes. The lawyer's smile grew. Isn't it true that you have anger management issues, that you've been physically aggressive with other foster children? Patricia stood. Objection, relevance. I'm establishing a pattern of behavior, Your Honor. I'll allow it, but get to your point quickly. The lawyer turned back to Jenna. Well, have you been aggressive? I defended myself when other kids tried to hurt me, if that's what you mean. It's what? So you admit to violence? I admit to not letting people hit me without fighting back. Judge Morrison interrupted. Counselor, where is this going? I'm demonstrating that Miss Blake has credibility issues and a pattern of blaming others for her problems. My client believes Jenna fabricated these abuse allegations out of anger at being disciplined appropriately. Jenna's control snapped. Discipline. He beat me. He broke my ribs. How is that discipline? Miss Blake, please calm down, Judge Morrison said. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I can't calm down while he's calling me a liar. Jenna's voice shook. Mrs. Garrett saw what was happening. She knew. She didn't care because having me made her money. That's all foster kids are to people like her, a paycheck. The courtroom erupted. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Order everyone quiet. She looked at Jenna. Miss Blake, I understand you're upset, but outbursts won't help your case. Take a breath. Jenna forced herself to breathe. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Judge Morrison turned to Mrs. Garrett's lawyer. Do you have actual questions or just insinuations? Just one more, Your Honor. He faced Jenna again. Isn't it true that you've already bonded with the Morrisons and will say anything to stay with them instead of returning to proper foster care? Proper foster care? Jenna's laugh was bitter. There's nothing proper about it. But yes, I want to stay with Linda and Razor. They're the first people who've ever treated me like I matter, who've protected me, who've shown me what family actually means. So yeah, I'll fight to stay with them, because they fought for me first. She looked at Judge Morrison. Your Honor, I know how this looks. I know I'm just another foster kid with problems, but I'm telling you the truth. Mrs. Garrett knew her husband was hurting me, and she did nothing. If you send me back to her, I'll run. And next time I won't come back. I'll disappear, and eventually you'll find me dead somewhere, because that's what happens to kids like me when the system gives up on us. The silence in the courtroom was absolute. Even Mrs. Garrett's lawyer seemed at a loss for words. Judge Morrison's expression was unreadable. Thank you, Miss Blake. You may step down. Jenna returned to her seat between Linda and Razor, her whole body trembling. Linda took her hand and held it tight. The rest of the hearing passed in a blur. Character witnesses for Mrs. Garrett testified other foster parents, a social worker who'd worked with her before. Patricia cross-examined them all, poking holes in their statements. Then it was Linda's turn to testify. She stood tall and spoke clearly about how Jenna had saved her life, about their growing bond, about their plans to become permanent guardians. This isn't about convenience or charity, Linda said. This is about giving Jenna what she's never had, a family that chooses her, that fights for her, that will never give up on her. That's what we're offering. That's what she deserves. Finally, Judge Morrison called for closing statements. Patricia's was powerful, passionate, hitting every point about safety and Jenna's well-being. Garrett's lawyer countered with procedure and regulations and the importance of following proper channels. Then Judge Morrison sat back. I need to review all evidence and testimony. I'll issue my ruling by end of day tomorrow. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Jenna stood on wobbly legs. Linda wrapped an arm around her shoulders. You did amazing up there. I'm so proud of you. I lost my temper. You showed passion. That's different. Linda guided her toward the exit. The Iron Wolves members surrounded them, creating a protective barrier between them and Mrs. Garrett. Outside in the harsh Arizona sunlight, Jenna finally let herself feel the full weight of exhaustion and fear. What happens now? She asked. Now we wait, Razor said, and hope the judge sees the truth. And if she doesn't, Linda's jaw set, then we go to Plan B. What's Plan B? You don't need to know yet, but trust me, you're not going back to that woman, no matter what. They went home, and the waiting began. Jenna couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't do anything but pace and check her phone obsessively. By evening, she was ready to climb the walls. Maria texted asking to meet for coffee, and Jenna jumped at the distraction. They met at a small cafe near the community center. "How'd it go?" Maria asked. "I don't know. I lost my temper on the stand. Probably screwed everything up." "Or you showed the judge you're a real person with real emotions, not just a case number." Maria sipped her latte. "Either way, you told your truth. That takes guts." They talked for an hour, and slowly Jenna felt her anxiety ease slightly. Here was someone who understood who'd been in similar situations who didn't judge. "Whatever happens," Maria said as they parted, "you've got people now. That matters." That night, Jenna barely slept. And the next day crawled by with agonizing slowness. Patricia called at 4 p.m. The judge issued her ruling. "Can you come to my office?" "Just tell me," Jenna said, her heart hammering. "Please." Patricia's pause felt like an eternity. "The judge ruled in your favor. Custody remains with the Morrisons. Mrs. Garrett's petition is denied." Jenna couldn't breathe. "What? You won! You get to stay!" The phone slipped from her hand. Linda caught it, listened, then screamed with joy. Razor picked Jenna up and spun her around. The house erupted in celebration. Jenna stood in the middle of it all, tears streaming down her face, finally letting herself believe maybe, just maybe, she was home. The celebration lasted into the night. Iron Wolves members showed up with food, beer, and enough noise to wake the entire neighborhood. Jenna sat on the couch, overwhelmed by the chaos swirling around her, people hugging her, congratulating her, treating her like she'd won something instead of just survived. "You okay?" Cassie asked, sitting down beside her with 2 sodas. "I don't know. It doesn't feel real yet." "Give it time. This kind of thing takes a while to sink in." Cassie handed her a soda. "You know what this means, right? You're stuck with us now. No escape." Jenna managed a small smile. "Could be worse." "Could be a lot worse," Cassie agreed. "Trust me, I've seen worse." Around midnight, people started leaving. Razor walked them out one by one, thanking them for showing up. Linda had fallen asleep on the recliner, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. Jenna covered her with a blanket and went upstairs. Her room, she could call it that now, without fear of losing it, looked the same as it had that morning. But everything felt different. Permanent, maybe, or at least more solid than before. She was getting ready for bed when her phone rang. Unknown number again. Her stomach clenched. "Hello? Jenna Blake," a woman's voice professional. "This is Margaret Chen. I'm a caseworker with CPS. I know it's late, but I wanted to reach out personally about your case." Jenna's guard went up immediately. "What about it? First, congratulations on the custody ruling. I've reviewed your file, all 9 placements, and I have to say what happened to you represents a systematic failure on our part." "Yeah, no kidding." "I'm not calling to make excuses. I'm calling because I want to do better. I'm assembling a task force to review how we handle abuse reports from foster children. Would you be willing to participate? Share your experiences so we can improve the system." Jenna was silent, processing. Why would I help the system that failed me? Because the next kid who comes through might not be as strong as you, might not survive what you did. And if your story can change even one policy, save even one child, Margaret's voice was earnest. I can't undo what happened to you, but maybe we can prevent it from happening to someone else. I'll think about it, Jenna said finally. That's all I ask. I'll email you the details. Thank you for considering it. And after hanging up, Jenna sat with the weight of the request. Help the system that had chewed her up and spit her out. The idea made her angry. But Margaret was right about one thing. There were more kids out there still stuck, still suffering. She was still thinking about it the next morning when Linda knocked on her door. You up? We need to talk about something. Jenna's heart jumped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Come downstairs. In the kitchen, Razor and Linda sat at the table with serious expressions. Jenna's anxiety spiked. Did something happen? Did the judge change her mind? No, honey, nothing like that. Linda gestured to a chair. We want to talk about what comes next. Jenna sat her hands clenched in her lap. Okay. The judge granted us temporary guardianship for 6 months, Razor explained. After that, there'll be another hearing to determine permanent placement. We want to file for adoption. The word hung in the air like something fragile and precious. Adoption. Jenna's voice came out smaller than she intended. Only if that's what you want, Linda said quickly. We know it's fast. We know you might need time to process everything, but we want you to know this isn't temporary for us. We're all in. Jenna's eyes burned. You want to adopt me? More than anything, Linda said. You're already our daughter in every way that matters. We just want to make it legal. What if I screw up? What if I'm too broken to be part of a real family? Razor reached across the table and took her hand. Then we'll be broken together. That's what family is, broken people choosing to stay anyway. Jenna started crying. Linda moved around the table and held her while she sobbed. Is that a yes? Linda asked softly. Yes. God, yes. They held each other for a long time. When Jenna finally pulled back, Razor was wiping his own eyes with the back of his hand. Okay then, he said roughly. We'll call Patricia today, start the paperwork. It'll take time, background checks, home studies, the whole process. But we've got time now. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. Jenna started attending regular therapy sessions with a trauma specialist that Patricia recommended. Dr. Sarah Kim was young, direct, and didn't take any of Jenna's deflection tactics. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge, Dr. Kim said in their 3rd session. And right now you're doing everything to avoid acknowledging the trauma. I acknowledge it. I was abused. I survived. What else is there? How it affected you. How it shaped the way you see the world. The coping mechanisms you developed that served you then but harm you now. Dr. Kim leaned forward. You flinch every time someone moves too quickly. You check exits in every room. You hoard food in your backpack even though you have regular meals now. These are survival behaviors, and they made sense when you were in danger. But you're safe now. You have to learn new behaviors for this new reality. Jenna hated how right she was. So what do? We work on it, together. Week by week, we retrain your nervous system to recognize safety. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. At home, Jenna threw herself into learning everything she could. Razor taught her about motorcycles, how to maintain them, repair them eventually, how to ride. Linda continued the self-defense classes, and Jenna became her assistant instructor, helping other women learn to fight back. Maria became a close friend, and they started meeting twice a week for coffee and conversation. Having someone who understood the system, who'd faced similar traumas, made everything easier. 2 months after the custody ruling, Detective Chen called with news. Garrett took a plea deal. 20 years, no possibility of parole for 15. The DA used the video evidence the motion to suppress was denied, plus testimony from you and 2 other former foster kids who came forward after seeing the news coverage. 2 others? Jenna asked, shocked. 1 from 3 years ago, 1 from 5. They'd never reported because they didn't think anyone would believe them. But when they saw you speaking up, they found the courage. Chen's voice was warm. You saved more than just Linda's life, Jenna. You saved yourself and probably prevented more kids from being hurt by him. After hanging up, Jenna sat with that information. Other kids. Kids who'd been silent out of fear and shame, just like her. The CPS task force Margaret Chen had mentioned suddenly seemed more important. She called the number Margaret had given her. I want to help, Jenna said. With the task force, tell me what you need. Over the next month, Jenna participated in 3 meetings. She shared her story, all of it, with social workers, administrators, and policymakers. It was excruciating, but seeing their reactions, watching them actually listen and take notes and discuss changes, made it worthwhile. "We're implementing a new protocol," Margaret explained after the third meeting. "Any abuse allegation from a foster child triggers an automatic investigation with a different caseworker than the one assigned to that home. Creates a check and balance we didn't have before. That's it. That's all you're changing. It's a start. We're also reviewing the vetting process for foster parents, implementing more frequent home visits, and creating a direct hotline for foster kids to report abuse anonymously." Margaret's expression was earnest. "It's not perfect, but it's progress. And it happened because you were brave enough to speak up." Jenna wanted to feel triumphant, but mostly she just felt tired. Progress was good, but it wouldn't help the kids suffering right now in some home where nobody believed them. She was still processing all of this when Linda approached her one evening with an idea. "I've been thinking. The self-defense classes are good, but they're reactive. What if we did something proactive?" "Like what?" "A mentorship program. Pair Iron Wolves women with foster girls who need support. Someone to talk to, someone who understands someone outside the system, who can advocate for them." Linda's eyes were bright with passion. "We could call it the Guardian Angels Project." "That's ambitious." "I know, but we have the community center. We have women willing to volunteer, and we have you living proof that this kind of intervention works." Linda sat down beside her. "What do you think?" Jenna thought about herself 6 months ago, hiding under that pier, starving and alone. What would it have meant to have someone reach out before things got so desperate? "I think it's brilliant," she said. "Let's do it." They spent the next month planning. Cassie handled logistics. Maria volunteered to be the first mentor. Other club members stepped up with donations, time, and resources. Word spread through the foster care community, and soon they had a waiting list of girls wanting mentors. The official launch happened on a Saturday in October. 15 foster girls ages 12 to 17 showed up at the community center. They were guarded, suspicious, clearly expecting this to be another empty promise from another organization that didn't really care. Jenna stood up to speak, and the room went quiet. "I was you 6 months ago," she began. "Runaway, scared, convinced nobody cared whether I lived or died. I'd been through 9 foster homes. Some were just neglectful. Some were actively abusive. All of them taught me the same lesson: I was disposable." She could see recognition in their eyes. They knew this story because they were living it. Then I met someone who challenged that, who showed me that being disposable isn't a fact, it's a lie. The system tells us to make it easier when we fall through the cracks. Jenna's voice strengthened. "This program isn't charity. It's not pity. It's us people who survived this system reaching back to pull others through, because nobody should have to do this alone." The response was overwhelming. Girls started opening up, sharing their stories, connecting with mentors. By the end of the day, all 15 had been paired with Iron Wolves women who committed to weekly check-ins, emergency support, and long-term advocacy. Driving home with Linda and Razor, Jenna felt something shift inside her. Not healing exactly trauma didn't work that way. But purpose, meaning, the sense that her suffering could become something that helped others. "Proud of you," Linda said quietly. "What you're building here, it's going to change lives." "We're building it," Jenna corrected. "I couldn't do any of this without you." 3 months later, Jenna got a call from one of the girls in the program, Sophia, 13, assigned to Cassie as a mentor. She was crying so hard Jenna could barely understand her. "Slow down. What happened?" "My foster dad. He tried to. Cassie's on her way, but I'm scared, and I don't know what to do." "Where are you right now?" "Bathroom. I locked the door." "Good. Stay there. Don't open it for anyone except Cassie." Jenna was already grabbing her jacket. I'm coming too. What's the address? She and Linda arrived at the same time as Cassie. The foster father answered the door, all false charm and concern. Can I help you, ladies? Sophia called us, Cassie said flatly. We're taking her. I don't think so. You have no authority. We have her on the phone saying you tried to assault her. That's all the authority we need. Linda pushed past him. Sophia, it's Linda. Come out, honey. We're taking you somewhere safe. Sophia emerged from the bathroom, tear-streaked and shaking. Cassie immediately went to her, checking for injuries. Did he touch you? Cassie asked quietly. He tried. I got away and locked the bathroom door. Sophia's voice was small. Please don't make me stay here. You're not staying, Jenna said firmly. She turned to the foster father. We're calling the police and CPS. And if you try to stop us from leaving with her, the 6 bikers outside are going to have a problem with that. His face paled. He hadn't noticed the motorcycles that had pulled up behind their cars. They got Sophia out safely. The police arrived, took statements, removed her from the home that same night. The foster father was arrested within hours. This is what I was talking about, Jenna said later as they sat with Sophia at an emergency shelter. The system's so broken. He had 3 other foster kids in that house. How many of them did he hurt before Sophia fought back? We can't save everyone, Linda said. But we saved her. That matters. It's not enough. No, Linda agreed. But it's something. And sometimes something is all we can manage. Sophia ended up staying with Cassie temporarily, while CPS found a better placement. The Guardian Angels project got more attention, both positive and negative. Some in the foster care system saw them as interfering outsiders. Others recognized them as a necessary support system that filled gaps the official channels couldn't. By January, 6 months after the drowning, the program had expanded to serve 30 girls. 2 other motorcycle clubs in neighboring cities reached out about starting their own chapters. The model was working. Jenna's adoption hearing was scheduled for February 15th. 6 months of temporary guardianship had passed, and now the court would decide permanently. Are you nervous, Doctor? Kim asked in their session the week before. Terrified. What if something goes wrong? What if the judge decides I'm too difficult, too damaged? Have you shared these fears with Linda and Razor? No, I don't want to worry them. Jenna, that's the old survival pattern, hiding your feelings to avoid being a burden. But you're not a burden. You're their daughter. They want to know when you're scared. That night, Jenna forced herself to talk to Linda and Razor about her fears. Linda held her hand through it all, and Razor looked pained by her doubt. Kid, listen to me. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that would make us walk away. You're ours. The judge could say no, and we'd just appeal. We'd fight for years if we had to, because that's what parents do for their kids. Even broken kids, especially broken kids, because we're all broken. The trick is finding people who fit your broken pieces. He smiled. You fit ours pretty perfectly. The adoption hearing was nothing like the custody hearing. No drama, no opposing counsel, just a formality, really. The judge, a different one this time, reviewed the case file, asked Jenna a few questions, and smiled. Miss Blake, do you want to be adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Morrison? More than anything, Jenna said. And Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, do you commit to raising this young woman as your legal daughter, providing for her physical, emotional, and financial needs until she reaches adulthood? We do, they said together. Then, by the power vested in me by the state of Arizona, I hereby grant this petition for adoption. Jenna Blake, you are now legally Jenna Morrison. Congratulations. The gavel fell, and Jenna burst into tears. Linda and Razor wrapped her in a hug so tight she could barely breathe. But it was the good kind of breathless, The kind that came from being held by people who chose you and meant it. The celebration afterward at the house was even bigger than the custody victory. The entire Iron Wolves Club showed up, plus girls from the Guardian Angels Project, Dr. Kim Patricia, the lawyer, even Detective Chen. Jenna stood in the middle of it all, watching her family, because they were family now, all of them celebrate her becoming permanently theirs. Maria found her in the kitchen, getting away from the noise for a moment. "How does it feel?" Maria asked. "Like I can breathe," Jenna said. "For the first time in my life, I can actually breathe." "That's good. You deserve that." "So do you. How's your situation?" Maria smiled. "Actually, I've been meaning to tell you. I got accepted into the mentor training program. I'm going to start working with the Guardian Angels Project officially." "Maria, that's amazing. You inspired me. Watching you turn your pain into purpose, it made me realize I could do the same." Maria hugged her. "Thank you for showing me it's possible." Later that night, after everyone left, and the house was finally quiet, Jenna stood at her bedroom window, looking out at the desert stars. She thought about the girl who'd hidden under the pier 6 months ago, starving and alone, watching a family she thought she'd never be part of. That girl had been so sure she was disposable, so convinced that survival was the best she could hope for. She'd been wrong. So beautifully, impossibly wrong. Linda knocked softly and came in. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking about how different things are now." "Different good or different scary?" "Both, mostly good." Jenna turned to face her. "Thank you. For not giving up on me, for choosing me. You chose us first. When you dove into that water, when you kept diving, even when it seemed hopeless, you chose us. We just chose you back." Linda wrapped an arm around her shoulders. That's what family is. Mutual choosing over and over. What if I mess up? What if I'm not worth all this effort? Then we'll handle it together, and you'll always be worth it, Jenna. Not because of what you do or don't do, but because you're you. That's enough. That's always been enough. They stood there together, mother and daughter, watching the stars. Behind them, Razor appeared in the doorway. "You two planning to sleep tonight, or should I make coffee?" "Coffee sounds good," Linda said. "It's a celebration after all." They went downstairs together, and Razor made his terrible coffee, while Linda told embarrassing stories from her own teenage years. Jenna laughed until her sides hurt, feeling lighter than she could ever remember being. Around 2 a.m., she finally went to bed. Before turning off the light, she opened her nightstand drawer and pulled out 2 things, her mother's silver locket and her Iron Wolves patch. She'd had a jeweler attach them together months ago, creating a single piece that represented both families. Her mother, who'd loved her first, but couldn't stay. And Linda Razor, the club who'd chosen her and kept choosing her every day. She put it on, feeling the familiar weight settle against her chest, and turned off the light. The next morning, Jenna woke to the smell of pancakes. She came downstairs to find Linda and Razor making breakfast together, bickering good-naturedly about whether chocolate chips belonged in pancakes. "They absolutely do," Linda was saying. "They turn it into dessert, not breakfast." "Everything's dessert if you're brave enough." "That's not how food works." Jenna laughed, and they both turned to smile at her. "Morning, kiddo," Razor said. "Chocolate chip or plain?" "Chocolate chip," Jenna said, sitting down. "Obviously." "See," Linda said triumphantly. "Our daughter has good taste." Our daughter. The words still made Jenna's chest tight, but in the best way. They ate breakfast together, planning the day ahead. Jenna had a shift at the garage with Razor, then self-defense class with Linda, then a Guardian Angels meeting in the evening. A full schedule, but the good kind of full. The kind that came from purpose instead of survival. As she helped clean up afterward, Jenna thought about Margaret Chen's words from months ago, that maybe her story could prevent what happened to her from happening to someone else. She hoped that was true. Hoped that Sophia and the other girls in the program would find their own version of safety and family. Hoped that the policy changes would actually make a difference. But even if they didn't, even if the system stayed broken and more kids fell through the cracks, at least she'd done something. At least she'd tried to turn her 9 minutes underwater into something that mattered. That evening at the Guardian Angels meeting, a new girl showed up. She was maybe 14, with bruises on her arms, and that same haunted look Jenna recognized from her own reflection 6 months ago. Jenna approached her carefully. "I'm Jenna. Welcome." The girl looked at her suspiciously. "Are you going to tell me it gets better?" "No, I'm going to tell you it can get different. Better's subjective, but different is achievable, and different can be enough." "I don't believe you." "That's okay. You don't have to believe me yet." Jenna gestured to the group. "Just stick around long enough to see it happen. That's all I ask." The girl stayed. By the end of the meeting, she was talking quietly with Maria about her situation. Another seed planted. Another chance at rescue. Driving home with Linda, Jenna felt the weight of responsibility mixed with hope. "You can't save everyone," Linda said, reading her thoughts. "I know you want to, but you can't." "I know, but I can save some, and some is better than none." "That's my girl," Linda smiled. "Speaking of saving people, we got a call today. The Lake Preservation Committee wants to name that section of Viper's Cove after you. The Jenna Morrison Memorial Cove. I'm not dead. They know. But you gave Linda back her life there, and they want to honor that. It's symbolic, a place of second chances." Jenna thought about it. 6 months ago, she'd been hiding under a pier at that lake, certain she'd die alone and unmissed. Now they wanted to name it after her. The irony was almost funny. "Okay," she said. "If it helps other people find hope there, then okay." The dedication ceremony happened in March. The entire Iron Wolves Club showed up, along with city officials, news crews, and a surprising number of people Jenna had never met, who'd heard her story and wanted to support her. They unveiled a small plaque at the water's edge. Jenna Morrison Memorial Cove, a place of second chances. In honor of the courage it takes to save someone, and the grace it takes to be saved. Jenna stood beside Linda and Razor, reading the words over and over. Behind them, Sophia and Maria and the other Guardian Angels girls stood together, their presence a reminder that rescue was possible, that survival could become more than just existence. Linda took her hand. 9 minutes underwater. That's what it took to bring us together. 9 minutes that changed everything. "Best 9 minutes of my life," Jenna said. Then she laughed. "Worst too, but mostly best." That's life, isn't it? The worst moments and the best ones all tangled up together, impossible to separate. Jenna looked out at the water, at the spot where she'd pulled Linda from death, and inadvertently pulled herself toward life. The water sparkled in the afternoon sun, peaceful and beautiful and full of possibility. She thought about her mother's words from so long ago. Water can save you or kill you. Respect it, but don't fear it. Her mother had been right. The water hadn't killed Linda. It had brought them together, had created a family out of desperation and choice, and the simple act of not giving up. Razor put his arm around both of them. "Ready to head home?" Home. Not a temporary placement, or a shelter, or a hiding spot under a pier. Home. "Yeah," Jenna said. "Let's go home." They walked back to the truck together, Linda on one side and Razor on the other, with their Iron Wolves family surrounding them in a protective circle. Jenna touched the locket and patch hanging around her neck. Past and present loss and gain, everything she'd been, and everything she was becoming. She'd spent 10 years learning to survive in a system designed to break her. But in 9 minutes underwater, she'd learned something more important, that sometimes the act of saving someone else is what finally saves you. That family isn't about blood or law or even time spent together. It's about choosing each other again and again through every hard moment and small joy. She'd chosen to dive into that water when everyone else looked away. Linda and Razor had chosen to fight for her when the system wanted to send her back. The Iron Wolves had chosen to claim her as family, and she'd chosen to let them the hardest choice of all. Those choices had brought her here, standing beside the parents who'd fought to keep her surrounded by a community that refused to let her fall through the cracks, finally understanding that being wanted wasn't about being perfect or easy or undamaged. It was about being brave enough to let yourself be seen and loved anyway. Jenna Morrison, formerly Jenna Blake. Foster kid and survivor, climbed into the truck between the two people who'd given her a name, a home, and the radical idea that she deserved both. As they drove away from the lake that had witnessed her transformation, she looked back one last time at the memorial plaque glinting in the sun. 9 minutes underwater had given her a lifetime above it, and she was finally ready to live every single second of it. Not just surviving anymore, but truly, fully, impossibly alive.